Hello everyone, and thank you for joining the fourth session in our Global Conversation series. I hope that everyone enjoyed some nice relaxing time over the holidays. I don't know about all of you, but I'm really looking forward to putting 2020 in the rearview mirror and kicking off a new year. 2021 has a great ring to it, and I can think of no better way to start off this year but to take a trip down to the sunny Caribbean and visit with some of my favorite people and some of my favorite places. Joining us today, we have Andreas Pade. He is the managing director of Rosewood Hotels and Resorts, Little Dix Bay in the British Virgin Islands, one of my favorite island hideaways. Discovered by Lawrence Rockefeller in the 1950s, it was developed and opened by him as a light footprint resort in 1964, and it has a very loyal following. Little Dix Bay recently reopened after surviving 2 hurricanes and undergoing a major renovation, but it has not lost its special sense of place and charm that has been inherent since it was built. Joining us as well is Fabrice Moison, the general manager of Eden Rock St. Bart's and Eden Rock Villa Collection, which are part of the Octar collection. Fabrice has been on St. Bart's since the early 90s and is truly one of the reasons a stay at Eden Rock is so special, as he goes out of his way to make guests feel as if they were staying in a home as much as a resort. Eden Rock has also just emerged from a major redo post-Hurricane Irma and welcomed back its first guests this past October. My dear friend Pascal Girardi, the founder and namesake of Voyages by Pascal, has a wealth of knowledge that is beyond compare when it comes to properties throughout the Caribbean. She has been our go-to when we need to ascertain the finer points of comparison of properties, room types, and has kept us in the loop since day one with the constantly changing entry requirements due to COVID. She and her team are huge advocates for our clients, and we would have been lost without them over this past year. Plus, Pascal is an enormous amount of fun to travel with when she hosts educational trips for travel advisors. So thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedules to join me. I'm super excited to hear and learn more about what is new in your destinations and with your properties. And Pascal, I'm sure you will be excited to share more news about what's going on throughout the Caribbean. So let's dive in. I'm really not going to spend too much time on the various entry requirements and protocols, as things, of course, are constantly changing. And what we might discuss now could be completely different 30 days from now or 3 months from now, other than to say that a negative PCR test is a requirement for entry throughout the Caribbean, and additional testing may be required upon arrival. Upon confirmation of any booking arrangements, we always outline the entry requirements clearly, and then we reconfirm them again well in advance of any client's departure. So you've all just finished up with the festive season, which typically is the busiest travel season of the year in the Caribbean. And of course, it might have been slightly different this holiday season, but I know both Little Dix Bay and Eden Rock hosted guests, and Pascal, you were very busy as well, accommodating clients. I'm sure on many levels, from a guest standpoint, you could not have asked for a better time to be staying, because in some destinations, it might have been a little bit like having a resort or an island all to yourself. I'm very curious, how did it go overall? And Andreas, maybe you'd like to start off.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jolene. And again, welcome to everyone who's listening in, and thank you for being part of this. As many of you may or may not know, Little Dix Bay returned last December after nearly 4.5 years of closure, brought on by both the renovations, but also the hurricanes we had come through the territory. So we opened for a couple of months. The territory got shut down again in March, and really our festive was the reopening of the destination. So it was a very small window. We, I'm happy to say, had a very, very nice Christmas. We saw a lot of the multi-generational families come down and celebrate with us, as they have done for many decades. For many of them, it was a first visit back to Little Dix Bay because of the lengthy closure. We found it to be, as professionals, we had also ourselves wondered what would a festive be like under new circumstances. But I must admit, it really is the same. It really is the same experience. When you really look at it, it's the same gorgeous beaches. It's the same great restaurants. It's the same service that you have. Yes, you might not see the smile right away because of the mask, but we're all learning to smile with our eyes. Um, but it really is that getaway from the realities that the world are facing outside of this little bubble here. What I found with many of our guests, there was a similar sort of sentiment coming down. They didn't really know what to expect because will it really have changed a lot because of the requirements in place or because of protocols? And what I'm hearing really consistently across is that, to the contrary, they realize the value of being able to come on holiday and know that everyone else around you within the resort have all gone through all the same, and you can really feel safe. You can take that stress element out of your life. You don't need a mask to be on a beach. You don't need a mask to take a beautiful swim in the bay. You don't need it when you enjoy your dinner at the table or any of these elements. So for us, I'm really pleased to say it felt like any other Christmas. It could have been busier, but a lot of it had to do with the reopening time frame. But we had overall a very, very successful Christmas. I'm really pleased as a hotelier with how it all works given the circumstances.
Fabrice? Oh, I think you're muted.
Yeah,
There you go.
I've been with, yeah. No, exactly as Andreas, actually, we've been hit by Irma 3 years ago. We made our reopening after 26 months of full renovation in November 19. It was supposed to be a very successful year, actually, for 2020, and we were shut down in March. So clearly, our reopening last October, October 22nd, since that, it has been very busy because some bars has been shut down for a few months, and then reopened step by step with the entry restriction we've got. It permitted to make the island super safe. And then actually the entire island has been, let's say, we can say crowded actually since we have reopened the island since mid-October. And we made a beautiful Christmas period and festive period. Of course, as Andreas said, a few restrictions, yes, but I cannot agree more what Andreas said. Actually, was such in a bubble, in a freedom location, comparing to actually being stuck in New York, in Paris, in London. You are on the beach with full freedom. You are in a resto with full freedom. Most of the location, restos, bar, whatever, it's almost outside. So that the feeling is fully different when you arrive on an island. And we definitely delivered exactly the same way with some restriction on our side, mostly, meaning the hotelier. And as Andreas said, again, the expectation of the client, we were so oriented about the freedom to have and the fact that they did not expect this. It was not possible for them to envision that they could have so much freedom. Actually, we went above the expectation. That's it. Yeah.
It's so nice. And Pascal, I was, when you and I spoke recently, and I was expecting you to say, oh, it was quieter holidays for us. And then you said you were very, very busy as well. And, we enjoy working with you so much because, Christmas is normally very crazy. And if something should happen with a flight being delayed or canceled, we can pick up the phone and call you. And it doesn't matter, unfortunately, if it's Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, you and your team are always there to help us. And you said it was still, you were still very busy with clients traveling down to the island. So again, maybe you can talk about that a little bit and how you found
Well,
this year.
We started to be busy end of September and October, and we were really surprised because, of course, you know, everybody was expecting a slowdown, but we end up having, actually, I was looking at what we've done in December. We end up having a lot of multi-generation families, a lot of big villas in different islands, you know, or people staying longer instead of staying 7 days, 8 or 10 or 12, or adding a couple of nights. A lot of last minute also. So we had two kind of clientele, a much more request for private plane, people that want to travel safe, and then a lot of also last minute bookings for people that just wanted to go 4 or 5 nights when they saw in certain destinations that were very flexible. And what was remarkable, because Christmas, it's always a little bit of a challenge. You know, people are paying premium prices, and they always want a lot of things. I think people were so grateful and so appreciative that the hotels were open, that I mean, the hotelier will tell me, but I found that they were nicer. I think they didn't nitpick about little things. They were just happy to be and kind of have a normal life and have dinner someplace and just enjoy. So I think that was a really refreshing. That was nice, because sometimes, you know, people nitpicking about little things, and, you know, but here people were just happy to go away. So it was really nice and great feedback. Everybody has come back already, and no complaints. Everybody was happy. I think that people realize you go back to basics, you know, you go back to really what matters, and what matters was to be away with your family and having a great time. So that was a really, you know, the silver lining behind all this. We had booking. We did booking the day before Christmas to travel in 2 days. We did booking, you know, really last minute, but it was very nice to have people that were very grateful just not to be stuck in the apartment and be able to enjoy the good food, the weather, the beach, and the family.
Yeah, it is a really completely different world from what we're living in here, which kind of brings me to the next question. And you really almost answered it already, because I think for clients, so Nathan and my clients, your travel designer clients, they're primarily East Coast, West Coast. We don't have a lot of clients in the middle of the country or the Southeast. And I think the East Coast and West Coast clients tend to be have a little bit more conservative mentality when it comes to getting out and traveling currently. But I think they really want to travel. They want to get out there. They're just a little bit hesitant about what it might look or feel like once they're there. So I'd love to talk about, you know, I think that if they can hear from you, the reassurances about, even though things are slightly different, I think that the experience itself, from what I got out of our conversations, I think it's even better than it was in the past in certain ways. And so, Fabrice, maybe you, because I got that from you so much when we talked, and also Andreas when we spoke. So maybe you can, the three of you can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can tell you it has been very intense in terms of activity for the past 3 weeks, very intense. But at the end, on the client side and on the team side, we are so happy, because on the hotel side, we are so happy to be back to something, back to normal. On the client side, actually, they just understood, as Pascal said, we are back to basics. And it's all about the way to be back to social, to entertain, to interact, to create some memories with your close family, with your friends, to interact even better between people and so on. So at the end, definitely, I think that the silver lining about all of that, it was even better than the last year in terms of festive season. It was even better due to all the connection we made with the people. You know, I'm sure that many people are going to be affected mentally, psychology wise, after this lack of interaction for the past months of lockdown. And actually, what we saw for the people who were lucky and to travel, and us lucky to be open, it was such just a smiley and a happy moment to live, really.
Yeah. And Andreas, I think we spoke about this as well. You know, this idea of being able to come together. A lot of us, I mean, I know my family very much the same. We haven't been able to gather together as a family unit. And I think this allows people to come together. You know, they've been separate. Maybe they decided to isolate before they came together. And then everybody has to do the PCR test so they can be together, and then they're able to be together as a family. And there's something so very special about that.
Yeah, it becomes as a family celebration. To your point, and to Fabrice's point, I think to start at the very top, what the current environment has done, it has made the interaction between the resort and the client even more intense in the build up to arrival, because there are so many more questions, there are so many more facets to it. But in a certain way, you almost know your guests even better before they even arrive. Once they're here, because you know that people have really gone through hoops to make it compared to normal times, you almost overcompensate while people are here, especially on the personal level, because you know that it wasn't just as easy as getting on a plane to get here. But what we are finding, especially for us as well as with Fabrice, we see a lot of multi-generational families at our destination. And for many of them, this was an opportunity to celebrate birthdays that had passed, to celebrate being together again for the very first time. And suddenly being able to do it in a restaurant with people in it, right? Where you're not just sitting there in a half-empty venue, but you're there as a group. What we see very often down here, also with the long stays over Christmas, is a lot of our visitors and our guests, they're sort of, if not already familiar, they're slightly familiar with each other from their normal lives. And you start seeing after a few days how people are finding that confidence because they feel safe, that suddenly you see these relationships building again, even between other guests amongst themselves while they're here. So all those elements are still very much in there. I think to simplify it, a lot of the protocols that are in place for all of this at hotel level, many of them really shouldn't be a big surprise. Everything should always be super clean, right? Things should really be taken care of. That doesn't really disturb you. That just makes you feel good. And the elements that are there, the journey is so well outlined that you know exactly the milestones as you go along on your stay. And you know that when you cross line X, you and everybody else in that environment with you are really, we're back to the bubble. They're really back in normal life.
Yeah, true. So Pascal, you know, God, when people say the Caribbean, you know, they're not actually looking at a map, and they're lumping the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos and the Eastern Antilles and the Western Antilles into this big, huge thing. And it's a vast region, very big region. So, you know, obviously you've been so great about keeping us in the loop about all the different entry requirements throughout the region. And obviously some destinations are able to do a better job just due to resources and infrastructure than others. So in addition to the British Virgin Islands and St. Bart's, and without, you know, we don't want to call out any destination that's not doing an A+ job, What other destinations do you think our discerning clients would enjoy traveling to at this point in time? And maybe you can, give a shout out to one or two other properties that you feel might be on par with these other two resorts.
Well, every island has had some different things, and I have to say that everybody got onto this as soon as we started to shut down. We had about 4 or 5 weeks in March where it went to standby, but then everybody was really very, very active to put back things in place. And actually, I got to say, St. Barth was one of the first destinations to reopen in June with the clients, because they were really very fast at being proactive and getting things. But they definitely, St. Barth we had clients traveling as soon as, I think my first client traveled to St. Barth was in mid-June. But there's definitely destinations that have done more than others. Some destinations are, for example, Turks and Caicos we were very impressed. They put a website together just for the clients where they were offering all the, you have to have an authorization, and we're doing the paperwork, but they also were offering health insurance for people, because it's mandatory to have a health insurance to go to Turks. So they were providing, because people say, oh, I don't know where to find an insurance that's going to cover for COVID. And so they were providing this. They were also providing COVID test kits that they will be sent and guaranteed to come back in due time. So that was really nice for them to put all this action together. So in one-stop shopping, you would have your insurance, your health, your authorization, your COVID test. DIA also put something interesting together, although they don't have like specific requirements since September, but they were offering free cancellation insurance and health insurance for everybody. And that was part of the government in order not to cut the tourism. And, Dominican Republic, has a lot of hotels and a lot of rooms. So for them, it was really dramatic. The stop in May, June was very, very dramatic. So in order to help out people traveling, they were offering free trip insurance for everybody traveling to DR, covering all the change fee, all the cancellation penalties for all clients wanting to travel. So that was really risk-free. If you decided not to travel, the first day because you didn't feel comfortable, you were totally have no penalties. And if you wanted to come back, they will cover. If you got sick, all the costs will be covered. So that was really, really good. The first hotel that impressed me quite a bit also was at the Grand Villas in Riviera Maya. They put protocols in place, and that's where at the beginning of April, where everybody was kind of, starting to, oh, what do we do? How does this happen? What's going to happen? They put a protocol, 30-page together, showing, like procedures with elevators wiped every 20 minutes, with a timer for all the employees they had to watch, and every 20 minutes they had to go and wash their hands. They really put something together, and I think they went over and beyond to really make people feel very comfortable. Of course, now everybody has really top of the line, protocol, amenities and procedures for all the hotels and all the villas, and so that now it's become standard. But those guys at the beginning were really very, very proactive. So I think that Shore Club in Turks had also bought a lot of material to offer clients where we couldn't find masks or things like this. When they were reopening, they were providing so much and innovative sanitizing products, and the way they were having some special mat to wipe your feet and scan your luggage and wipe your luggage. I mean, it was really, so everybody has been really working on this. And I think it was so important because we were all on the same fight. We don't want people to stop traveling, and we wanted to make them feel reassured and educate them. I think at the beginning, a lot of people were confused. What do we do? Does it mean, are the hotel open, closed, how this works? But all the hotel will tell you, it was just a matter of changing the way to arrive. And the mask now is part of, it's part of everybody's life, and the gel. And it was very, very, now it's a standard, it's business as usual. I don't think this people now, it's part of your day-to-day life. So
true. Yeah. So I think that, and this is just my opinion, but I do feel that for a lot of clients, the trend moving forward is going to lean more towards conscious versus conspicuous consumption when they decide to take the plunge and start traveling again. And with that in mind, I'm really interested to hear about memorable experiences that can be created. They don't have to be lavish or expensive, that clients can have while staying with you and within your destinations, because I think clients are really curious about this aspect of travel now, and especially in these times. You know, experiences make the experience, but you know, I think that that's what leaves the lasting impression, right? Are these little experiences that we have throughout our travels. And so Fabrice, maybe you'd like to take this one to start.
Yeah. It's actually, we touched this point before in our discussion about the fact that people enjoyed even more to be reunited together, to be able to connect, to be able to socialize again. And actually, we at the same time, we didn't change so much. Actually, the experience actually is almost the same as before. And the clients actually were able the past few months to do exactly what they did before on the island. That's the intensity which has changed, the intensity of every single thing. I saw actually during the festive some repeat guests. Madame used to hike every single day. Now it's not Madame, it's Madame, Monsieur, and the two children. And they went at 6 o'clock in the morning to do their hiking. Monsieur never did any diving, snorkeling, whatever. They all went together during the entire festive, doing all the things all together. So it's all about that. It's all about the connection and to live things. Okay, we went through some very, let's say, negative, bad, messy months. And I think that everybody understood that, okay, now we need to live things together. And we need to be much more, as you said, conscious. That's the same at the resto, actually. Said that it was not supposed to be lavish or expensive, but with the things, actually, we've got a wine list. And now people said clearly, yeah, I want to enjoy myself. So maybe I could have taken a bouteille of Chablis. Now they take a bouteille of Chablis Premier Cru, because I never tested that. I want to test that. I want to experience. And you know what? Whatever, tomorrow, live the moment. That's
right.
It.
No, yeah. and that is a true statement. And you know, we've all kind of been locked away and, you know, drinking our own cellars dry and things like that. So it's kind of nice to be able to splurge on those things. And that is an experience, right? Andreas, what kind of fun little things are experiences that you're able to create there on Virgin Gorda?
Well, I mean, for us in Virgin Gorda, they call us nature's little secret. And they do it for a reason. To really see the Virgin Islands, you have to go and see what's outdoors. Whether that's taking one of our beach drops, as we call them, where we take you to an isolated beach, we drop you off, you tell us when to come back. We leave you with everything you need to get hold of us and everything you need while you're there. But you go away, you can still do that. You can hike the trails around the island. We have a beautiful organic garden these days, or a farm actually, where we grow most of our lettuce and greens and vegetables for the restaurants. You're able to go up with your family and actually be part of that. We've put it right inside the resort. The chef does some really, really fun cooking classes right in the garden itself. So you can come up and explore and see how are we doing this. You can go with the chef and pick the ingredients, and then have a really fun interactive time right there in the garden. We have a beautiful scent spa. Whether it's a treatment there, it's a treatment on the beach. You can really, to Fabrice's point, you can really do all the things you could do before. um, you can sail. You know, you just to see our destination. I always tell people you cannot come to the BVI and not do at least one day of sailing. Visit the sister
No,
island.
that would be a tragedy.
Yeah, it's a travesty almost. You know,
Yeah.
you have to stop by Norman Island at the Pirates Bite and have lunch. You have to stop in on Cooper Island and try the microbrewery or the organic coffee that they grow over there now. Anegada, uh, a different world altogether. Um, and I think you see a lot more usage of these options now. And part of that is probably again that people haven't really had the sense of exploration for so long that when they finally get to a place where you can do it, they really want to take advantage of it, and they want to have those memories to take back with them afterwards.
Well, and I think both Virgin Gorda and St. Bart's lend themselves both to self-exploration. You know, Andreas, we talked about that fact that you have the little mokes now, and you have them on St. Bart's. I can't remember if you call them mokes on St. Bart's, the little mini Jeeps. And to get in one of those for the day, and you can either pack a picnic lunch or go find a fun little local restaurant and explore all the different beaches, because you both islands have all these little hidden spots, and to just be able to go and explore and be on your own, and it's your own little island paradise. It's just
And let,
fantastic,
and,
and
and
I
let's
wish
be
I was
honest,
there and not in gloomy Seattle.
You know,
and let's
John,
be honest, the destinations have a lot less density at the moment. So while neither of us have beaches that are truly overwhelmed at this point in time, you're going to be able to visit all these beautiful venues with far less other visitors around you.
you know, I'm just realizing actually that we are even more that we are in a bubble right now, because the last time I left the island was actually in July, and since that actually it's truly actually as we are today. So I did not went through what you live actually either in New York or either in Paris or whatever. So for us, it's not so anormal, not normal to live what we live. And we're in such a bubble. So we're a bit, sorry for that, but we're a bit, we are a bit in the normality, and you are not, because we used to deliver and to live the way we do for the past, let's say, a year almost, with some constraints, yes, with some restriction, yes. We went through a mess, yes. We canceled actually millions of bookings. We closed our hotel. We had to take care of all of these kinds of things. But on the daily life, actually, we don't live with so much restrictions. Do you agree, Andreas, that we are in a bubble and we don't
Absolutely.
realize?
Yeah, I mean, we're almost a bit innocent to what people come and they share the stories with you, and you feel almost a little bit guilty because when you look back to your point, our last 9 months, not that much fundamentally changed in the way we were conducting ourselves or living our lives because we were in these little bubbles. Um, and a lot of that innocence is still there. And I think what makes our destination so attractive now is the fact that they've been nearly unscathed for all this time. So you're now entering into a place where you don't have to worry as much about what has happened or what might be there. And you come into to a population who are just so happy to see people back. I mean, when we reopen the doors, I haven't seen a workforce that excited to get going in a long time because they genuinely missed having visitors. They genuinely missed sharing their destination with the people that are coming in.
Oh, that's so nice. I mean, they're they're so warm, and they do truly care about the guests that are coming to stay. I mean, that is part of the hospitality of the Caribbean, and it's what makes it such a special place. So I know we're running out of time. So let's see. I think that through my conversations with all of you, I noticed a couple trends emerging. And I'd like to talk about those a little bit, because I think our clients that maybe haven't been out and about traveling yet would be interested to hear about them. And that is this trend about long stays. All of you told me something very interesting, and that was that you had guests that would come down, and not just over festive, but at other times, and end up extending their stays. And I think somebody else mentioned this just during this conversation, extending their stays because they felt so comfortable. They didn't know what to expect once they were going to be there, but once they got there, they felt so relaxed and so comfortable that they've now extended their stays well beyond. And Pascal, we talked about this as well. You know, you had clients that were extending their stays.
Right.
So
yes, we had more and more. I think the trend, you know, this is this euphoria, you know, when you leave here, New York, where, to give an idea to Fabrice and Andres, you know, I celebrate New Year's Eve at my friend's house in the garden with 30 degrees, with hat, gloves, blankets for 2 hours, and it was because nobody is comfortable to receive guests inside. So our social interactions are very limited. So there's this euphoria when people go to the island and they realize, oh my God, this is a normal life. I can have that again, where for us, we're like, oh, this is so old. You don't even remember when is the last time you had a dinner with friends in a restaurant without having to think, you know, what's gonna happen. So when they arrive, they realize there's no constraint. There's just a mask, which is, you know, nothing, and they leave every day. So we have people say they wanted to extend. We have people looking to do schooling, you know, asking, you know, to make sure there's enough Wi-Fi in the villa. So they say, hey, you know what, because school is in Zoom now for most of the school, I better have my kids here, do some interactions. So we had more requests for villas with butlers, with chefs, you know, people wanted more space. And people have really splurged more this year, you know, because it's live once and enjoy. So definitely this is a trend. We have very last minute, I think very last minute, depending on, before it used to be last minute because of the weather. I think now it's last minute because people don't want to go through all the constraints that we have here, and, you know, the closure of in cities, and the business, and the school, and the hairdresser, and all that thing. So people want to go and spend, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, or 2 months, and come back when, you know, spring, when the weather will be good again and people can enjoy a bit more outside. So definitely more.
So many people can work remotely. Children are doing remote learning. So I think that once people realize that, yes, this is a very safe and different environment, this trend for long stays is not going to be a trend anymore. It's going to be more of a normal thing. And that brings me to my other question. I would imagine then that you're seeing more and more demand for your larger accommodations, your suites, your residences, your villas than in the past. Fabrice, I would imagine that that's true there on St. Bart's. For Andreas, I'm sure your suite and your villa product is in very high demand. And Pascal, we source villas through you all the time. And so I would imagine the three of you, are you seeing that?
Yeah,
very, very much so. To put it into perspective, this festive, I have only sold suite and villa product. Luckily, when we did the renovation, we added a lot more suite to the resort, but you're definitely seeing that. you're seeing a lot more of this, but you're also seeing a traveler who's looking for the flexibility that you can accommodate to Pascal's point. You can accommodate a space for schooling. You can accommodate a space to set up office if the parents are still continuing their work. You have to get a little bit more creative with your offerings as well. If you're going 1 month to the same resort, even with 3 restaurants, at some point in time, you've tried everything and you found your favorites a couple of times. So you have to be willing to be very, very flexible, keep it much more organic, much more spontaneous, and really change a little bit the way that model that we all got so used to with a 5 or 7 night stay and then the changeover.
Right. And Fabrice, with the Eden Rock Villa collection, I'm sure that you've seen quite an uptick there, and all of that. It's so great because they have the full access to the Eden Rock Resort and your team of staff.
Yeah, no, definitely. With the 140 villas we've got in our portfolio all around the island, the service we provide in the hotel, the access to all the hotel facilities. Definitely, I must tell you something today. We have stopped the booking for January and February now because we are overwhelmed and we are not able to service them. It's booming. It's booming. No, really.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, we decided this morning. Actually, we cannot confirm any other bookings because we won't deliver the good service. So for Jan until from now to February 10th, something like that, we said stop. We cannot do more. It's crazy, really. But the fact of having this privacy of a villa with the hotel services in the access to the hotel, clearly, yeah, as Andreas said, Madame and Monsieur are gonna work in the morning. The Wi-Fi is we've got a 20 megabit access. Boom, they work. The children, they've got their schooling remotely. Then you've got some activity. They decided to stay for 2, 3, 4 months, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the one thing we've learned is that things are constantly changing, right? And I'm happy to hear that there's all this good news coming from, both of your destinations and throughout the Caribbean in general. And I know that our clients, I think that hopefully everybody that's listening on this call or that's going to be watching later, it's going to make them feel confident and secure about traveling down and staying with you all soon. I know, Fabrice, that you have guests that are arriving shortly. I'm going to be checking into Villa Rockstar, which is,
I need to tell you.
Yes. And I hope to be seeing your smiling face in person in the not too distant future. It's a long flight from Seattle to St. Bart's, but I will try to do it. So merci beaucoup, mon ami. And thank you for your time. I'm going to keep Andreas and Pascal on, and we're going to take some questions here in just a couple minutes. So one thing, Andreas, that I know that we spoke about was, some of the things that came about, I think, wasn't necessarily due to the pandemic per se, but really because of, everything that you went through there due to the hurricanes and having to kind of rethink and adjust due to that. And I'm super passionate about sustainability and conservation and community and giving back and being involved with the local people, and especially when I'm traveling. So I'd love to, you talked a little bit about the farm and the garden, and I'd love to learn more about the cooking school and how you can go and collect your eggs for morning breakfast and things like that. So maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really a dual catalyst. Having gone through the hurricanes of late 2017 and sort of that following year where you can really only describe island life in many of the island destinations that were affected as hardship living. People had very little income. Uh, there were almost no jobs around, and it really forced people to go a bit back in their roots again. One of the things I had never seen in the BVI prior to the hurricanes was anybody farming. But we know from the past that it was very much what was done here in the British Virgin Islands. You saw a resurgence of that where suddenly there are pop-up markets because people have figured out to go back and grow this or grow that. Chicken farming, goat farming, pig farming. You saw a resurgence of all of this. That really arose as a need initially. But as we sat down as a destination, and because we are such a small destination, it's really a very close-knit community
Mhm.
between residents and businesses. But when we sat down and said, okay, we're going to rebuild our island, if we're going to do that, this is that one opportunity where we can sit and rethink some of the ways things have been done for a long time and really think how can we just become overall better caretakers of our destination, and what are some of these new nuances and elements that the times have really brought on us. So needless to say, one of the big focuses was really on becoming much more green, which can be very difficult in remote destinations for a slew of different reasons. But nothing is impossible. So we started addressing that aspect as a community, but also as a resort. Um, we looked a lot closer at how we can all positively affect the communities that we're in, not just in a poster style way where every now and again we host something or we do something, but how can we really create an environment of opportunity across the board that's really helped along by the businesses. We work a lot closer now with artisans that have come about that create. We have one young lady, extremely gifted, who has created a big success story with creating her own bath and body lines with ingredients from here that we try to support. We decided to build our own farm at the resort, really inspired by what was going on around, not really for need, but um, in today's age, we all want to eat clean. We all want to eat well. And we've thought that for us here, it not only was a good reflection of the place we're in and a sense of place, but it's also fun and enjoyable for the guests to see that right there at the resort. Little Dix Bay, for those that haven't been, we're a 600-acre property with a lot of green land. So we were able to blend the farm in right down at the resort level. So it's a place that you can stroll to, just as you would stroll to the fitness center or the tennis. You can take now a walk into the farm. So we started that as a project, and we've really been growing it. Today, I'm proud to say that I'm the owner of 26 chickens, 2 goats, and 13 turtles.
Oh
Um,
my word. Hopefully you have.
things just evolve. But to your point, the children in the morning, guests in the restaurant can choose whether their omelet should be made with an organic homegrown egg or whether it should be a commercial egg. The children that attend the Explorers Club can come up and meet Rocky the goat, and bring a little basket, and they can actually come along with the farm team and collect the eggs and bring them down, and the chefs will make their breakfast from it.
That's great
Um,
because you're definitely not doing that in New York City or
no,
LA or any major city. I mean, here people have chickens in their backyards, but it's
even seafood, even fishing. Believe it or not, for a place like the BVI, it was hard to find fishermen that would bring you a steady supply of fish.
mm,
These days, we have fishermen coming in from Anegada right to the dock, and they present their catch right there on the dock, their lobster, their line caught tuna, whatever it may be that they caught today, they'll bring it to us, and that's what makes it fresh onto the table that evening.
that's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of Anegada, I am super excited about this new, I'm going to call it an adventure, or you can call it an experience, but I just think it would be a fabulous adventure about with the seaplane, because I mean, I've done a lot of sailing in the BVI, and I think that, like you said, if you cheat yourself and don't have a day out on the water, it's just really sad. But even that being said, to get to Anegada on a day trip, if you're plunking around and visiting a bunch of islands, it's really difficult to do. But to go by seaplane,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to steal your thunder, but
No, it's another one of the great sort of evolutions that came out of the rebuild, is that we now have a seaplane service in the BVI. They actually service San Juan, Puerto Rico, St. Thomas, USVI, and then they have another hub here in Tortola these days. So you're able, if you don't have the sea legs, or to your point, if you don't have the time to spend a day sailing out to Anegada, you can jump on a seaplane and be there in 9 minutes or 10 minutes, land right in the most beautiful of coves, and enjoy the island for the day, and still make it back in time for sunset drinks.
yeah, and for those who have not been to the British Virgin Islands, they're more mountainous in topography, but Anegada is a very flat coral type island, and it's the only one like it in the whole archipelago, and known for these incredible Caribbean lobsters. And so you go there and you can go and have lobster for lunch, and loblolly, or one of these, I forget the names of the shipwreck.
Howard Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really a great experience. And I was asking one of your reservation team, or maybe it was you, we might even be able to set up a transfer from St. Thomas by seaplane, right? If somebody flew in from St. Thomas, or could you even do it from San Juan, or only from St. Thomas?
So San Juan or St. Thomas, you're able to fly seaplane right in.
Yeah.
Right now, you would land by the land entrance to the resort. There's another dock on that side, but we are just about to get the license and the authorization for the seaplanes to land right outside our bay and taxi into the resort. So almost a James Bond-esque adventure flight into your destination. Nothing says you're on holiday than when you get onto a seaplane and next stop is our day.
I agree. Sign me up. Pascal, any cool, let's say, I mean, there's so many, I mean, you've got Anguilla, there's a lot of new places that people might not be familiar with, like Dominica, is a really undiscovered place.
There are some places, the Secrets, Secrets in Dominica. I don't like very much the name of the hotel, but it's nothing to do with the brand Secrets. It's a small, very eco-friendly resort with about 5, I think they have now 6 villas from 1 to 3 bedrooms. Really, really cool. So people that want to go away and be, from everything, very, very unspoiled island. There are a really nice, depending each vibe, every island has a different things. I would love to go back to Little Dix Bay and dive at Anegada. That's probably our next fam trip, because I haven't been at Little Dix Bay since before they closed. And, so it really depends what your clients want and needs. And if they want like great food, or they don't care about the food, but they want great diving, if they want to go hiking. This year, Viceroy St. Lucia has been really very, very busy, because they started to reopen, and we had people coming. I think it's starting to reopen in July with great hiking. You need hiking boots. If you're really good hiker, you can really, like really not sneakers and just go for a little hike, like really big hike. A lot of zip lining. Every island has a different experience.
I always think of St. Lucia, to me, it's like the Costa Rica of the Caribbean. It has that kind of feel to me. It doesn't have monkeys and things like that, but it's really more an adventure island.
Exactly. So you have the north and the south, and the north is really the place I prefer, because For example, this hotel is located between the two big pitons, so the two big mountains, and the hotel is in the bay. And it's absolutely, I was there last January, and it's absolutely magnificent. You feel like you're in a different place. I mean, it has a sense of place. You have a lot of palm trees, banana trees, you know, you have a lot of mangoes hanging out. And also Grenada in that same sense. I started really to be, Grenada reminds me of Jamaica 20 years ago. Very beautiful flowers everywhere, a lot of nature. You can go to cocoa plantation. And this year, a lot of people are looking for just earthy, simple facilities, things to do. They're looking, you know, enjoy the day and see how go to the cocoa plantation and see how the chocolate is done, and have a, eco-friendly cocoa that doesn't taste at all like what you buy in the supermarket. So there's definitely new destinations that are emerging, small boutique hotels. So this is very exciting. We're very, very excited. There's a taste for everybody. So small boutique hotel, and the good thing is you have a lot of small boutique hotels this year that are reopening with 8 to 10 rooms, which is also perfect for a buyout. So if you have a family, you know, just buy out the hotel. It's 8 rooms. So a lot of hotels looking for different ways to do business, and you have to adapt. Or the big villas, the 5-bedroom, now they're renting as a 3-bedroom because not everybody is 8, 10, 12 people. So people are really adapting. So there's definitely many, many options to look at.
Right. So one thing maybe we can talk about, because somebody did post a question about this for Little Dix Bay. We can talk about the entry protocols for you. I didn't want to go into it too much, but since Fabrice isn't here on the call, I didn't want to take up too much time. So a negative PCR test prior to arrival. So they have to have that in hand prior to arrival. Then when they arrive, they have to be tested again, correct, Andreas?
So you have your negative PCR test 5 days before departure. You upload your results onto a BVI, what we call the BVI platform. As you arrive into Tortola Airport, you will be administered a PCR test in the new arrival lounge. So they created a new arrival lounge for all this. You will be administered a PCR test then. You will be allowed to proceed to your resort, and you will be checked into your suite. You must remain in your suite till the airport test result arrives. So they try to make that happen within a 24-hour window. So really your holiday begins with a relaxation right in your suite. We have changed all of our room service offerings and other services to accommodate that 24-hour gap that you're in your unit. After that, you're free to explore the resort and enjoy the services at the resort. On the 4th day, you will be administered your final PCR test. When those results arrive, you will then have free access to the destination at large, inside or outside of the resort, neighboring islands. You really have the destination at your disposal. So some of you might think right now and say, my God, that's a lot. In a way it is, but if I tell you right now, if somebody asked me for my active cases in the BVI right now, I'm probably the only person that's going to say it's sitting at 10 persons, right? We've maintained that through a month of being open now with multiple resorts. So that's the protocol for us right now.
Right. No, I think in many ways, I think that's a very wise approach. And look, 24 hours in your beautiful suite, I don't think that's a hardship.
Exactly.
In fact, sign me up, I'm on my way.
and again, when you listen to the feedback of the clients, as they say, you know, nobody likes to be told, I need to do this and I can't do that.
Right.
But if you take that element out of it, they had one day after a long day of travel to just relax.
Exactly.
The next day, they get their results and they're able to go out and do what they really came for. Dine, swim, walk, bike, bicycle, move around the resort and have that freedom. And then 4 days later, you then finally have access to everything else. And very much, if you look at most of the guests stay with us before COVID, that's very much the pattern anyway. People arrive, they spend the first 4 or 5 days just at the resort. And towards the end of the stay is really when they go venture outside for the outside options. And
Right.
that pattern is still exactly the same, except there's a test along the way. But as a guest, you know that everyone else in the resort has gone through the exact same thing. So you don't have that worry about what if I sat too close to another table this morning at breakfast, or what if I walked into this space and there was somebody else there, because everybody has followed the same journey. And you know that when you get to that fourth day, everybody inside and outside of the resort are healthy and well.
Yeah, it's a good point. So I have a couple more questions for you. I have somebody who says, Andreas, you're making me really excited for our visit in May. It is an anniversary trip for me and my husband, but I'm now thinking we need to bring our children. Are we going to feel out of place if we don't bring our family? I know a lot can change in a few months. So I think all the times that I've been to Little Dix Bay, I've either been by myself, as I used to work for Rosewood Little Dix Bay, or I've been with my partner. And it's such a romantic place. I'm sure that you still have a lot of couples traveling without children.
Very much so. I mean, we are family friendly, but what you tend to see, you tend to really see the family travel follow the major holidays. So for Christmas, you see a bit more families with children traveling. For spring break, you see a bit more of it. But to your point, Jolene, the resort, we only have 80 rooms at the resort with a half-mile beach and 600 acres. Even if there are others there, there is enough room and space to just really have that romantic time alone.
Yeah, true. Oh, gosh. The farm sounds like a great addition to Little Dix Bay. Thinking about a family stay and kids still, I think, online schooling, albeit remotely. Have you thought about some fun educational ways to bring kids into the farm? I'm sure you're doing that. Your kids program has just always been amazing.
So with the situation we're all living, we've tried to bring the vast majority of our kids club activities out of an actual kids club environment, and really find good ways for the children to get out and move around in the outdoors with us. And one of those very popular options is the visits to the farm with the children.
Great. Pascal, this is a question for you. How early in advance do we think we should book or start thinking about planning a trip into the Caribbean?
Well, I had somebody call me 2 days ago at 10:30 for the next morning. So, you have last minute at 10:30, and on the way to the airport the next morning, they realized they had no passport. But I think the busiest time, I think next festive, I think it's going to be very, very, very busy, because families that didn't travel this year or didn't travel last year, or, are just going to be really planning ahead. So if it's during festive, definitely plan in advance. But right now, there is space. I mean, hotels are getting busy, but we still get you. So I think that, within a week, within a month in general, so you have time to do the dinner reservation, you have time to, get educated on the destination, get the massage. But these days, we are seeing that there's no problem on getting space. St. Bart is a little different, because St. Bart is getting very, very busy for the holidays. For President's Week, as Fabrice has said, he's not taking any more reservations for the villas, and the hotels are quite busy. But in general, all over the place, I would say, an average of 1 month, 6 weeks is fine. We have to also keep in mind that a lot of hotels had groups last year, weddings that they had to postpone and rebook for this year. So we can find some hotels, blocking some 3, 4, 5 days or a week during the year because they're putting back those groups. But in general, you don't need to make so much in advance plans, except when it's going to be the holidays. So
And I always
just
say
make plan enough to be able to get your test.
And I think anytime you're looking at traveling, even during this time around the holidays, whether it's a school break, spring break, festive holidays, you need to do your planning in advance, because if you, especially if you're looking for certain categories, you need connecting rooms, you want a certain type of suite, those are always at a premium. So it pays to plan in advance. We have one.
Right.
Yeah. We have one final question. What happens if you have a positive test, either, this is for Little Dix Bay, either at the airport upon arrival or on the 4th day? So do you set to,
yeah.
you know, a rock out in the middle of the sea?
Yeah, we have a special small island we sail you out to and we leave you there. No. Right now, if you test positive along any step of that journey, say the airport, you would still be quarantined at the resort that you were headed to. You will have to remain in your accommodation during that time. And to be very transparent, we, from government regulations, can have very, very, very little interaction with you during this time period. Sure, of course, room service, it's just handled slightly differently. After 7 days, you would be retested again. And if you test negative at that point in time, then you're free to resume. For some people, it can take all the way up to 2 weeks. So they would not let you leave the destination until you test negative. So if you arrive and test positive, turning around and trying to leave again would not be an option. You would be in the destination until you have a negative result.
Yep, something to think about. Yeah. So that's why we kind of advise our clients, look, if you're getting ready to travel, do some self-isolation beforehand, just to make sure before you go for those tests that you've been extra safe and sound.
Yeah.
You don't want to have any chance of having a positive test.
And to be honest, we have had very, very few cases that have ended up actually testing positive in the destination. The 5-day test in advance and then the test on arrival, if anything is going to happen, that's typically there. But if you think that we've had 2,000 visitors into the destination December, which is a very, very low number by normal means, but still out of 2,000 persons, we ended up with 10. We had 10 people that at some point, either on arrival or day 4, had tested positive. It's a very, very low number.
Right, that is low. Well,
and I want to say also sometimes something, Jolene, that is important for people that are concerned. All the hotels we have worked with, and because of the flexibility, everybody has tested positive before traveling. All the hotels have been really nice and just not charging penalties and able to have clause to say flexibility. Of course, we book for another time, we'll give you a credit, and some offers also to refund. So all the hotels understand that, we call them the COVID clause. So all the hotels we've been working are very understand the need of having this clause where people say, hey, if I'm sick, am I going to lose my money? No. So we work with the hotel hand on hand, and we haven't had anybody stuck with money. And we had some cancellation, even for festive, last minute. And they have been absolutely,
and
getting their credit back. And
that's a true partner, and that's why we love working with you, Pascal, with Rosewood, and definitely also with Fabrice. And I wish he was still on the call so I could give him a shout out. It's a true testament to you, all of you, and your partnership, because the last 10 months have been horrible for all of us. But to know that we have your support and that you stand by and are there for us in these times when we really need you to be there has meant the world to us. It's not been easy for any for you, for us, for our clients. And so we really, really do appreciate that. And thank you. So.
Thank you.
Let me say one word of advice. Check your passports. Out of all the families that travel, I have 4 families where they had issues with passport expired because people have not traveled for a while.
Yeah.
And suddenly they realize, I don't have my passport. And it takes a little bit of time to get passport these days. So for everybody that is looking to travel this year, please go and look at your passport. Make sure that it's fine, that is updated.
It's a good reminder. No, we do double, triple check all of that. So, all right. Well, listen, everybody, Happy New Year. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you so, so much for spending time with us today. And I hope to see you in the sunny Caribbean soon with my toes in the sand, drink in my hand, and some sort of sunshade.
Thank you very much, and great fun being part of this.
Yeah.
Hope to see you down here soon.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.